Shopper's Tips for Watermelons and Cantaloupes by the United States Department of Agriculture Radio Service. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Historic Archived Document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. United States Department of Agriculture Radio Service, Office of Information, Housekeeper's Chat, Friday, August 6, 1937. For broadcast use only. Subject: Shopper's Tips for Watermelons and Cantaloupes. Information from the Bureau of Home Economics, U.S. Department of Agriculture. The other day I watched a man shopping for watermelons. There must have been 50 big dark green melons in front of him. Some of them were those long Tom Watson melons. Some were the rounder rattlesnake stripe variety. This shopper was systematically going the round of those watermelons, thumping them. He would squat down beside one, cock his head on one side, and give the melon a good, vigorous thump. Finally he found a watermelon that satisfied him and lugged it out to his auto. Ever since I was a child, I've believed that thumping a watermelon was the test of its quality. That if the melon says pink, it is green, but if it gives back a dull punk, it is ripe and good. But experts at the United States Department of Agriculture say that thumping a watermelon is not a dependable test, even of ripeness. The most you can learn about the watermelon that goes punk is that it is not green. But melons that are overripe also make that sound when you thump them, and they may also have other defects. So there are other tests you ought to use in buying watermelons to supplement the thumping test. One is to roll the melon over and look at the side that has lain on the ground. If the color of that underneath side is yellowish, the melon is probably ripe. If it is very yellow, it may not be so good. Good ripe melons are also firm and fresh looking and have a velvety bloom on the surface of the rind. Some people put great faith in a plug cut from a watermelon, and if the plug goes deep enough, you can tell a good deal about the ripeness and flavor of the melon from seeing and tasting this sample. There is such a wide variation among watermelons. Not until you eat a given melon can you be sure of its sweetness and flavor. The only way an inexperienced shopper can be absolutely sure of her purchase is to buy watermelon slices or half a watermelon. But when you buy it so, you have to eat it soon. Once cut into, watermelon rapidly deteriorates. Inspectors have been reporting uneven quality in watermelons shipped from the southern states, and locally grown ones are also likely to run uneven in quality. So it's a good idea to have in mind all these different clues to watermelon excellence when you shop for this fruit of the vine. Thump it if you want to. If it goes pink, you will know it's green and eliminate it. If it goes punk, examine it further to see that it is not overripe and is of good quality otherwise. Yellowish in color where the sun didn't reach it, but not too yellow. Firm with a bloom on its surface, and get the salesman to plug it so that you can learn something about flavor. Muskmelons, or cantaloupes if you prefer that name, are easier to shop for. One good clue to quality is the stem scar. If the stem has come off, leaving a smooth, well-calloused scar, you'll know that the melon was ripened on the vine. and vine-ripened cantaloupes are likely to be the best flavored. If part of the scar is rough, with maybe some of the stem still on, that cantaloupe was not fully ripe when it was picked, so it may not be quite so well flavored. The stem scar isn't so much help with casabas, honey balls, and honey-dew melons as it is with the cantaloupe, for these three types of melons can be ripened quite nicely off the vine. Another good test of ripeness for the cantaloupe is the rind. In a high quality melon the netting on it stands out in rather bold relief and is coarse and grayish in color. The ground color back of this gray netting is a pale green with a yellowish tinge. Some people consider the best clue to ripeness in a cantaloupe is the softness of the blossom end. If you are the first person to press the melon on the blossom end, you can tell a lot about the way it feels. But if a dozen shoppers before you have also pressed that melon, they will have made it soft in that spot, even if it is an immature melon. So softness of the blossom end is not always a sure test. One of the very best tests of all is the smell. When a cantaloupe's full flavor is developed, the aroma advertises it most energetically. With cantaloupes, as with watermelons, the final test is in the eating. There are literally hundreds of varieties of cantaloupes, and each has its own peculiar texture, color, sugar content, and flavor. Some look fine, but taste just like pumpkins. Others are sweet and delicious. Though odor and color give you some idea as to flavor, you can't be sure of any melon until you eat it. Speaking of odor, you put a muskmelon into a refrigerator at your own risk. But a thoroughly chilled muskmelon is so desirable that a lot of people do it, and if you wrap oiled paper around it, you will keep some of the odor in. By all means do not put chopped ice into a scooped out melon to chill it. The ice melts and is messy, and besides, the melon flavor then is not so good. If you want to chill a melon outside the refrigerator, put it on a bed of chipped ice. Muskmelon is a valuable food from the viewpoint of the nutritionists. It is an excellent source of vitamin C, a good source of vitamin A, and a fair source of vitamin B. Watermelons are a fair source of these three vitamins. Both these melon types are in the low-calorie group of foods. They come in the 6% carbohydrate class, along with strawberries, blackberries, and dandelion greens. End of Shopper's Tips for Watermelons and Cantaloupes by the United States Department of Agriculture Radio Service. Read by Sue Anderson.